It's time to join your host, Jean-Francois Gemme, founder of List Building Anonymous, the 12-step program for building a profitable online business, and the only podcast which delivers A to Z strategies from the online trenches and experts straight to you.
I want to welcome you to today's episode where we'll go over the step 10 of the 12-step program for building a profitable list. Today, I'm really excited. I have a guest that we already had a couple weeks ago. We have Igor. He's the founder and CEO of Igor Solo Ads, the world's largest solo ad agency. He's the guru call when they need high-quality business opportunity leads that convert. Igor is passionate about sharing up-to-date traffic and conversion strategies and also email marketing that work with beginners who want to make a six-figure while traveling the world full-time. So it's really an honor to have you back on the show, Igor.
It's great to be back. It's great to be back, Jean-Francois. And today I hear, a little bird whisper that we're talking about email, which is something I love talking about even more than I love about, talking about traffic.
Good. So good, because that's the subject for today. It's the step 10 is we started to own email marketing. So the first question, something that really get a lot as a question and also as a concern from people, is the frequency which we should email our list.
Yeah, so email frequency, there's a couple of schools of thought here. Some people, they say you should only email like once a month. You should never try to annoy your subscribers, and you should really try not to get into their inbox too often, because if you get there too often, you will annoy them and they will unsubscribe. As you know, and you know me, I don't believe a word out of this statement, and I think it's false, and I think it's stupid to believe that people who subscribe to your email list do not actually want to hear from you, right?
Yeah.
Now, the other school of thought is a school of thought that basically says you should email your list a couple times a week, right? Email them a couple times a week with some good content, some value, and just to make sure they remember who you are. Just to make sure they know you exist. And they will reward you by buying from you. Now, this is another school of thought I really do not agree with, because if you're only emailing them a couple times a week, it means your competitor is emailing way more often, and you're basically being forgotten already. And two, it's the whole, value proposition. Again, it's kind of like, it feels like you're being apologetic, and you're being almost, you're feeling comfortable for doing the thing that you're expected to do, which is to email them and sell them something. So this emailing from the back of your heels, so to speak, is definitely not the right approach for your business. And I honestly don't care what your market is, what your niche is, and what you're selling. There's really no reason for you not to email every day. Now, of course, when you email daily, it's not like you can just, send a 3-word email with a buy now link. You have to always have a reason you're emailing your list. And that is why, by mastering the art and science of having a reason to email, you can also get away with emailing 2 and 3 and 4 times a day, which sometimes I do. It really depends on the occasion. A definite answer to your question about email frequency is quite simply email every single day. And of course, I'm sure that some people are like jumping up and down right now and saying, no, but I can't, because in my industry, everybody emails once a week, or in my industry, nobody emails at all. It doesn't matter. It does not matter at all. If you're selling something they're interested in, then you should email about it every single day, and you should do it in an infotaining way, which is how you justify being in their inbox daily.
Great. And also another point I heard you said in another time, you said that people that will get annoyed by getting email daily will unsubscribe, but even if they don't unsubscribe, they would not do business with you anyway. So
yeah, if your emails are actually annoying to them, unless of course you're being really obnoxious, but if your regular emails are annoying them and they are choosing to unsubscribe, either because they don't like to hear from you anymore, or maybe they have solved that problem and they moved on, or because they don't have the time right now, whatever, that's okay. Like, Unsubscribes is something that you should celebrate, not something you should cry about, if you will. A lot of people actually complain to me about their unsubscribes. I've had a client who messaged me a couple of days ago, and she was really furious because she said she's getting more unsubscribes than opens or something like that, which is, of course, impossible in theory because you can only unsubscribe from an email if you open the email, right? So you always have more opens than unsubscribes. But she was trying to say that she was getting a lot of unsubscribes. And as far as I'm concerned, if I'm getting a lot of unsubscribes, that's a good thing. I'll even go as far as saying that some of my most profitable promotions have generated the most unsubscribes compared to my other emails because more people open them. I touch more hearts, and when I touch hearts, I also, touch hearts in the other way, which is, annoy people.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll even write emails specifically to drive people off my list and to force them to unsubscribe, to really push them into unsubscribing, and thus I sell more. For instance, if you're on my buyers list, you've probably received an email where I urge you to get off my list if you're an opportunity seeker mindset type of person.
Yeah. I like
and
that.
It goes on for 700 words about why I do not want to work with you if you're an opportunity seeker. And I literally tell you to just go away, don't join, unsubscribe from my list. And you'd be surprised, Jean-Francois, but that is one of my Hall of Fame emails, one of the emails that is consistently producing sales every single day.
Yeah, great. Remind me of one of my subject line that got the largest open rate a couple of years ago, and I think I will just reuse it soon. The subject line was simply, please unsubscribe.
Very good one. Yeah.
And so in the email, I was a little bit the same angle that you just said, but the title was please unsubscribe, and that email not necessarily got a lot of unsubscribe, but I got really a great open rate with that. So, so great. So that's for the frequency. Now, another question or topic that, like you probably say, there's a lot of school of thought about that. Is what would be, in your opinion, the ratio of pitch versus value in the emails?
Well, outside the email frequency issue, I think this is the second biggest issue with email marketing. People honestly believe that the purpose of an email is to educate and is to present your expertise in form of giving content, as if it's not an email list, more like a manual or something like that. Well, I disagree with that, and I disagree with that with a passion, because in none of my emails do I go in just to educate. Sure, some of a part of my email is value, and I try to write every email with some value, but not value the same way most people have it. You see, most marketers believe that value is hard teaching. They believe that value is you giving them tips and advice and trying to solve some problem for them. But you see, I don't agree with that, because that's what your paid product is supposed to do. You shouldn't be solving other people's problems for free. You should be solving other people's problems for money. That's what the economy that we're in is all about. That's what your business is about. That's why you got into business, because you saw a problem in the marketplace and you decided to solve that problem and be financially rewarded for solving that problem. So your emails, the kind of value they need to deliver is infotainment. Now, infotainment, in case you're not familiar with the concept, it has more entertainment value than it is educational, although it has an educational angle to it. It's kind of like, and I don't recall exactly who put it this way, it definitely wasn't me, and I first heard it from Ben Settle, a friend of mine and one of the best email marketers I know. He said it should be like a broccoli that's dipped in chocolate. So it needs to taste good, which is to say it needs to be entertaining, but at the same time it needs to be slightly educational. And at the end of that email, you should always drive the click and kind of nudge the prospect towards buying your product.
Good. Yeah, excellent. Great. So I like the analogy with the broccoli dip into chocolate. I might try that. So
yeah, okay. I never tasted broccoli dipped into chocolate myself, but when I write the emails, that's all I see. I'm like, okay, is this broccoli or is this chocolate? Or I need to find some middle here in order to make it taste good, but at the same time has a little bit of an educational value. Although sometimes, Jean-Francois, you can get away even without that. I mean, some of my emails are pure curiosity. Now, I don't write them every day like that. Like if I send out a curiosity email every day, then it's not effective anymore. But if I send out a curiosity email, say once a week, that would probably be the email that gets the most clicks because after some infotainment emails, pure curiosity just stands out.
And also, what I like to do also is to pick something that just happened in my life, in my personal life, that I can tie to some product, but start with the story and then transition to the principle in the story that ties with the product.
You see, that's a great technique. But at the same time, I feel it's a little bit more advanced than other techniques you could use because it takes a little bit of skill to tie in something that happens to you in your life to your product unless it's indirectly related, right? So if I'm selling like prostate advice or something like that and you tell a prostate story, then of course it doesn't take a lot. But if you're trying to tie in a conversation you had with another person into that, it's a little bit more difficult. Now, at the same time, what it requires for you to have is lots and lots of life experiences. So if someone who's listening to this episode right now is young, like I was when I got started, I didn't have much life experience at the time, and I couldn't tell stories simply because there wasn't enough stuff happening to me yet. So I would say that it's a great advanced technique if you can pick on your life situations, on the things that happen to you in life, especially if you keep a journal and you kind of write all those situations down, and then tie it in to whatever it is that you're selling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. It's by the way, it's not something I necessarily use daily, but when the occasion presents itself, and maybe like you said, for someone that doesn't necessarily have a bag full of stories, but sometimes what I do is just I will have a great day with my son, for example. And I will just share what happened and how good it was to spend the day with him. And then the way I tied it to some kind of product is to say, for example, the freedom that I have to have that time with my son is due to XYZ that I'm doing in my business. So just a way to tie this kind of days. So great. So now let's transition to the last question I have for you. In that topic is what would be, in your opinion, the do's and the don'ts when it comes to email marketing?
Well, there's so many, right? I wouldn't even know where to begin. Perhaps we could go into some specific topic of email marketing, like do's and don'ts of subject lines, or do's and don'ts of pitching, or openers, whatever that might be, for you.
Let's start with the headlines, because that's the first thing we need to master to have the subscriber open the email.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. So your subject line, besides your from name, the actual name from whom the email shows up in the inbox, is probably the most important thing, because if you don't open it, they don't read it, they don't click it, and that's really the whole point. So a couple of ground rules for subject lines is they can't be too long. Like you're pretty much limited with the way people read email today to perhaps 7 words at most. So I try to not write my subject lines. I try for them not to exceed 7 words, because then it's not visible in the email client when the prospect actually is checking their email. Now, you have to keep in mind, though, that subject lines are like a whole science in and of themselves. And it's not just the subject lines. I will even tell you this. If you want to learn how to write good subject lines, you should learn how to write great headlines. And to learn how to write great headlines, you need to study some copywriting manuals and materials and kind of dive into that world of copywriting, because subject lines are nothing but small headlines. As simple as that. Now, the one thing that did help me along the way, as far as my headlines are concerned, my subject lines are concerned, is at first, when I was writing my emails, I would try to come up with a subject line, and then I would write the email. Today, I do it the other way around. I write the email, and then the subject line kind of jumps at me on its own. because it's easier to come up with a subject line or even several subject lines after you've had the content of your email. It's much easier. But I've seen people work the other way around. And again, I started out, I was kind of sitting there for 30 minutes trying to think of a subject line. And once I thought of a subject line, I would then try and go and write an email about it, which again is just the wrong way to go about it. Yeah. Now, the other thing I would encourage you not to do is to use misleading subject lines that say things like, your commission check is pending, click here to claim it, and stuff like that. Yeah. I wouldn't do it. And in addition to that, because it's a big part of it, it's a big part of why people do it, I would go specific. Like, I wouldn't keep my emails and my subject lines generic. I would try to be super specific about everything that I write and everything that I want my customer to read. So the reason I say these are connected is because when you tell somebody their commission check is pending, or when you tell somebody to claim their account and stuff like that, this is very generic, and that is what that person is hoping to achieve, right? Because it's so generic, the user will click on it just to make sure it's for them. Yeah. But specificity is what's going to drive your response and your sales, not generosity, not this vagueness, if you will. Copy that's good, email copy that's good is always going to be specific email copy. And so this brings us to another issue, which kind of ties into copywriting in general, and that is people being afraid when they write copy to exclude potential markets. So when I write copy, I write my copy and create offers with a very specific person in mind, with one specific type of customer that I want to attract and sell. Most people, when they create marketing material, emails, offers, etc., they do it trying to get everyone to buy. In fact, I had a conversation with Dennis yesterday and with our designer. We were discussing how to position the offer. And for 10 minutes, they were arguing with me. But if we say this, if you want us to say this, then, we exclude this other group of people that may also buy. And so to them, that was a bad thing. To me, that's an incredibly good thing, because that means that my target market, the market that I'm going for, will see this piece and they'll go like, oh my God, this is for me. This is like somebody has created something that is specifically for me, because that's exactly what I'm going through right now.
Yeah, good stuff. Great. So
that's why, before we wrap up, I just want to give an example of this principle at play. And that's why you'll see me often use subject lines that are trying to mirror what you got going on in your head. Like if you're signed up on my solo-ed list and you didn't buy initially, then you'd get an email, still afraid your first solo-ed won't convert. So this question is very specific to the type of person I'm targeting, right? Yeah. It's specific to that person that is considering to buy, but still is not moving off the fence. And this question, are you still afraid your first solo won't convert? It basically speaks to that person so well that they can't help but read that.
Yeah, that's great. Let's wrap up. So in this episode, we focus on the frequency we should email our list. And I totally agree with Igor. It needs to be daily, and even if it can be more than once. We also talked about what pitch versus value ratio we should aim for. And lastly, we saw a couple of do's and don'ts, more specifically for headlines. So owning email marketing is a process, and we all need to practice and tweak all the time to find our voice. And even then, we need to continue tweaking. So next time we'll work the steps. We'll go deeper on the copywriting aspect of the game. So now for next week, we'll continue with step 11, which is we sought funnel reliefs. And we'll have yet another amazing guest. So you don't want to miss this. Keep an eye on your email inbox, and as I will send you the invite and reveal the name of that guest. So I want to extend a warm thank you to Igor for allowing us to pick his brain.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Always a great pleasure to be on your show, Jean-Francois. And anytime you need it, brother, call me up.
Good. Thanks. So I want to also thank you for tuning in, and look forward to lock arms with you and together master these steps. Until then, I wish you an amazing journey.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.